Hello guys. Welcome to Diablo the Primordial. This video is the continuation video after Walpurgis. So if you have not watched the previous parts, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And please check out my second channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates. Thus, with the help of the Empire's veteran magicians, a strict order was given to get the gate in cities governed by the demon lords at least up to working standards. Though I feel bad for Gerudo as there was much rushed work, having mutual help during emergencies was beneficial, so the gates were absolutely key. Gerudo himself was elated simply by getting orders from me. He didn't look the least bit unhappy. More like, he was working happily and with great zeal. About 100 individuals directly under Gerudo had their stomachs expanded, so there were few problems transporting materials. They worked at a pace which would make modern technologies pale in comparison. If it was possible to observe the Great Jura Forest via satellite imaging, you would see visible changes daily. With that thought, I saved images of the progress in a recording orb, from a bird's paw. This would be useful for future use as research materials. The current status quo proved Gerudo to be a great asset. Adelman and Gadra Rushi were helping out with Gerudo. As the two of them are specialists in the field of magic, setting up the magic formations was moving along efficiently. At the pace they are going, it looks like we'll make it in time to set up the gates in major cities. One point of worry though, was that Adelman was an undead and his appearance was that of a skeleton. Was it okay for him to casually work outside? Of course it looks like he's using illusions to cover up his appearance, but is that really okay? Well, it won't help if I worry. As they are working just dandy, there shouldn't be any problems. And so, construction efforts continued for our current crisis. The other officers were familiarizing themselves with their subordinates' abilities, and reorganizing their forces. The demons were mostly standing by around me, elegant and relaxed. But, their minions were thrown into the labyrinth, to let them get combat training. I felt their way of using the labyrinth was kinda weird, but I decided not to think too much about it. It all started when Diablo threw Venom into the labyrinth. Then the other demons also started doing it. Venom was currently getting his ass handed to him by Zijin's follower, Apido. Seems like Apido is usually the one dishing out the pain, as expected of one of the labyrinth's top 10. Well, Albert let him slip past, so he ended up reaching Apido's floor. Albert was enjoying his bout with Agara. Agara was, despite being low on the nobility hierarchy, noticeably stronger than others of her level. Her ability to handle a blade was on an amazingly high level. Add Hakuro into the mix, and you get an exhibit of blade masters. Those who have interest in the way of the blade all train at that level. It has become common knowledge for all who make use of the labyrinth as training grounds. Even I was thinking of secretly making use of it. Back to the original topic. It seems as though the idea of holding back or letting someone win don't exist for Apido. Frankly, she's so thorough it's scary. I could only hope the demons there work their hardest. By the way, Apido's status looked like this. Name: Apido. Species: Insect Model Devil. Divine Protection: Great Demon Lord's Blessing. Title: Insect Queen. Ability: Ultimate Gift: Queen of Worship Valkyrie. And its abilities are: Thought Acceleration, Demon Insect Birthing, Demon Insect Domination, Ultra Speed Movement, Space Control, and Multi-Layered Barrier. Regular skills are: Magic Perception, and Heat Perception. And combat skills are: Swarm Command, and Lethal Attack. And resistances are: Pain Immunity, Physical Attack Resistance, Natural Elements Resistance, Abnormal Status Resistance, and Mental Attack Resistance. This looks impossible to defeat for normal adventurers. A powerhouse who can easily defeat the old-school demon lords, such as Apido. Benimaru, saying he wanted to re-evaluate his abilities, had a room made for him in the labyrinth, and seems to be sparring with Soi. It won't be a surprise if he's undergoing enhanced intensive training, under Seal Sensei's guidance. Ranga looks to be working well with Gobta. Ranga was wagging his tail, and seems to be very happy, but, is this just my imagination, or does Gobta looks real worn out every day? Nope, must be my imagination. I shall believe they are getting along well, and warmly watch over them. Gobta, may you find happiness. Gabiru was focusing on training his high-speed flight and high-speed movement abilities with his fellow members. The teamwork among them has improved, plus he can now supply magic essence to them to give them a power-up too. Soon, they will show unity on a whole other level. Now this is surprising, for the frivolous one to be so cautious. But I'll give him credit, for thinking of ways to counteract all the scenarios he could think of, and putting all of that into their training. As our enemies are the angels, battles in the air will definitely happen. I shall look forward to the results of Gabiru's hard work. Kumara has pushed her way into Zijin's place, and is challenging him. Although she defends the 90th floor, her being inferior to Zijin who guards the 80th floor has her somewhat triggered. Sadly, she isn't holding up well. Besides that, Zijin is, frankly, something more of a guardian overseer. Leaving the 80th floor to Apido, his position is now to oversee the entire labyrinth. When the Great War begins, there will be a need to defend Ramirez as the strongest piece. She should be in the most important part of the labyrinth. With Beretta as Ramirez's adjutant, there's no worries about administration. What's left is would be who to put in charge of the labyrinth's defenders. There is Zijin as the guardian overseer, and Beretta as Ramirez's personal guard. Among the 12 guardian lords, having multiple of them on the same floor is kind of a waste. But well, our true citadel is the labyrinth. So, being able to react to all situations flexibly is a good thing. In light of the coming battle, all the other residents are making their own preparations. That was what it looked like for those preparing. Me? If you were to ask what I was doing at this time, I was going through trial and error for some stuff. I also accepted guidance on swordsmanship from Agera at the 70th floor. Albert's sword techniques make use of hacking attacks, with a sword and shield as his main focus. In comparison, Hakuro and Agera are blade users, with their focus on using a katana, foregoing a shield, and balancing offense and defense with just a katana in hand. The logic was fundamentally different, when compared to what was used in martial schooling. As my weapon of choice was a katana, though I kinda feel bad for Albert, he isn't suitable to be my teacher. Taking sword strikes, and having my attacks parried, I learned the techniques with my body. There was no other way than repetition for this. With the optimal movement, getting my body to react reflexively, I forcefully learned all of the known forms. Sounds easy, but is shit crazy hard. Although, I actually enjoyed the training. After that, while resting my body, I contemplated about Void God Azathoth. This ability has its risky parts. In my mock battle with Chloe earlier, only the activation of Suspended World was used. For abilities that controlled time, it affects every being regardless of who activates the ability. If a being had the capability to move while Suspended World was active, that being would be able to react even if it didn't activate the ability itself. In other words, if two beings that are able to move while time is stopped are battling, activating such an ability is kinda pointless. Since both can move, it didn't matter if you stop time or not, the situation won't change. Now, according to CL's analysis, Chloe can only stop time for some seconds at most. But, there's a high chance she has an ability similar to Future Sight. After experiencing an event once, she can turn the clock back to any moment before said event. Did I understand that correctly? I find it hard to understand this type of ability. If she used this ability, I wouldn't have any way to counter it. If she uses it, that is, it's not like I intend to defeat Chloe, but the requirements to activate this ability is flowing time. Which means, if I wanted to block that ability, all I had to do was to stop time. As long as Suspended World is active, Chloe's ability's requirement of flowing time is not met. Also, though Chloe can only stop time for some seconds, I can stop time for quite a long duration. A total of roughly 30 minutes in one day. This part 1 totally couldn't understand, but according to Seal, even when within Suspended World, activating other abilities is possible. By incorporating the energy that is released within the law of suspension, it's possible to make said energy unrestricted by time-halting effects. Of course, none of that is possible without CL's support, because it's impossible to recognize what flowing time looks like. Which means, to me who wields this ability, it can be said with absolute confidence that other beings which are unable to exist within Suspended World, will not be able to defeat me. Up to this point, all the information and predictions that have been obtained are from the mock battle with Chloe and testing, after which I had the information compiled. And now, I'm thinking about another matter. Why Seal didn't interfere in my mock battle with Chloe? Most likely, it was because she was incapable of holding back. To explain what that meant, I would need to talk about void god Azathoth, which was in essence an overwhelmingly condensed cluster of energy. Turn null generated energy of absolute destruction. Channeling this energy was exceptionally difficult even for Seal Sensei. This ability, it wasn't the kind which would let you hold back, it was all or nothing. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have not watched my earlier videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And please check out my other channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.